Okay, hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Sorry if the lighting is weird. It's like afternoon, so the light is like coming into my apartment, but it's not super bright. I have my list here. Oh, wait. Hold on. I got my notes here of things that I want to talk to you guys about this week. First I want to ask, how are you son of a... Got it. Okay. First I want to ask, how are you guys doing? The time change? Damn. The election, whoa, that was a lot for me. Like, that whole situation was really a lot for me, but whatever, we move. I think, like, wow, damn, I didn't even have that on my list of things to talk about because I don't think I talked about the election on my channel yet. Obviously, I live in California, so I was in a bubble. I am in a bubble. I don't really know. I'm not super tapped into what's happening like in the rest of the United States. I have a lot of reasons of why I think it happened the way that it happened, like things that I think contributed to it, maybe things that could have gone differently for a different outcome. But mostly it's just stressful, like thinking about my life, especially my adult life, and how it's been happening in this period of economic distress, like health emergency and political like conservatism and like oppression. It's a really weird time to be not growing up, because I think I'm kind of done growing up, but to be trying to get into adulthood and set the foundation for the next 60, 80 years that I'm gonna be alive. The planet, the country. How do I start to even think about what my life will look like in the future when the environment is such as this? But then like at the same time, I'm like, someone born in 60 years from now would be like 1960. Someone born in 1960 in the 80s, they could have never known what the 2020s were gonna be like and how they would benefit from the tech bubble, how they would benefit from extremely low interest rates, how they would benefit from a time of pretty easy international travel and movement for Americans. Like, they wouldn't have known those things were to come in the 80s, despite everything that was happening then, the crack epidemic, the later expansion of the police state, and the also like contraction of civil and social services. Like, they couldn't have foreseen any of those things, they were experiencing all those things, I should say, and they couldn't have foreseen all of the great things that were going to come. So I'm just kind of putting a little bit of stock in that like the big bad thing feels ominous and dark and scary, but also the good things around the corner like are there. You just don't know what they are yet. So just be, focusing on that. That's like my coping strategy, because yeah, I am coping. But anyway, let's move on. So I've been working on a new scent combo. I have. So for a long time, I was wearing Tom Ford Noir Extreme. That's what I was wearing. I really liked that cologne. I thought it smelled very masculine and very warm, and I thought it smelled really good on me. I would go places and people would be like, Nick, you smell so good. Like, what are you wearing? Like, this smells so good. But I don't really like to rewear colognes. I like to, if I spend money on like an expensive cologne, I want to wear it down, and then I want to try something new because, life is short. And so when I was getting to the end of my Tom Ford Noir Extreme, I was like, what should I get next? Should I go back to something that I had? So for example, I was wearing Jake's House by Henry Rose for a while, and I really, really liked that cologne. It had this really bright, fresh, like gardenia and mezcal, and like it just smelled like agua fresca, not agua fresca, aguardiente. It smelled like aguardiente almost, but like not in like I smell like alcohol way, but like in it just like, and it was bright and it was sharp and it was like exciting. It was very exciting and arousing to the senses. And so I thought maybe I'll go back to that, because I had a bottle of that, but I broke it. Halfway through it, I broke it. And so I kind of feel like, oh, that's like a loose string. I don't know what was supposed to, like, what was my life supposed to be like if I had taken that bottle of Jake's House all the way to the end. So I thought about doing that, but then it was really expensive, and I was like, oh, maybe I should buy it at the Sephora sale. But then I checked the Sephora sale, and they don't carry the full line of Jake's House, or not of Jake's House. They don't carry the full line of Henry Rose at Sephora. I guess they only carry like the top, most popular ones. Like it's only like 3 or 4 cents, and I don't really like any of those. So I was like, okay, that's out, because then I'm also trying to like be careful with my money and not buy things that, not spend a lot of money on things that only depreciate, and I want to spend more money on things that will appreciate and will grow or can provide me a lot of value for a long time. So like I would rather, instead of spending $100 on a new cologne, I would rather try to figure out how can I make something happen for 60 and take that remaining money and put it towards something else, whether that's buying new music equipment or going towards like, I don't know, just going in my Robinhood account. I don't know, but just like, you know, really trying to think down to the dollar about how I can apply a better economic framework to my life. And especially when it comes to spending, I want to spend more on the things that are going to put back more, and I want to spend less on the things that are going to get back less. Ultimately, a cologne or a perfume can only do so much for you. It's simply an object, or, you know, a cosmetic basically. But just because the budget is limited doesn't mean that the actual outcome cannot be incredible. And I would dare to say that it is actually the limitation that creates the opportunity for innovation. Walk with me. So I began to wrap my mind around this question of what cologne am I gonna wear? What is gonna be my scent for the next couple of months while I'm in this fall winter season? And so I did start to think about things that I liked, and I talked about this in my last video, and it was this body oil. So this is a body oil. It's a great hydrating and moisturizing body oil, but it also has a smell. It has a smell of jasmine. Beautiful, beautiful smell of jasmine. So I was like, okay, I have this body oil. That's gonna smell really good. I know that for sure. Then I was on YouTube, and I like small YouTubers. Like, I don't really watch a lot of channels that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers or have millions of subscribers. I don't really watch anybody that has millions of subscribers. My sweet spot for YouTube people that I watch is in between 0, because I have some people that I watch that are like 75 followers, 85 subscribers, and maybe like max 50 or 60,000. Once we get past that 60,000, and we get into the close to hundreds or above 100,000, like people's content and their videos just kind of change the way, and it makes sense that it changes because you have more people watching you. You're probably getting brand deals of a greater value. Like maybe you feel differently about your channel. Like it's a whole thing to have hundreds of thousands of YouTube followers, because also YouTube followers are a lot different, I think, than followers on other platforms. Like YouTube followers are commenting. YouTube followers are watching the story of whatever you're posting from beginning to end. So they're bringing up, you know, shit from the past. If they're constantly interacting, like YouTube can feed a video to someone that's 2 years old, and that person can go and watch and have like a marathon of the, like, the interaction is just different, and I feel like people's posting changes. So I keep my eyes on the block for those low level, just getting started, maybe only going for a year, 2 years type of YouTubers. There's this one YouTuber, her name is like Love Light and Butterflies. Like it's something, it's not a name, it's not like a person's name. And I don't even know her name. I think she says it on her channel, but I can't recall what it is. But she's this Black woman in the UK, and she travels around, but she just recently went to Egypt. And when she went to Egypt, she bought like a bunch of colognes and perfumes. And so on her channel, she was talking about all the different perfumes and oils that she had bought when she was in Egypt. When I tell you I was studying this video, I was Googling every single thing. I was reading the notes, like I was like tapped in, because she was saying that a lot of the perfume oils there were very, very inexpensive. I guess just because the ingredients are more plentiful. The use of these specific types of perfumes and colognes compared to other ones is way more common. So she was like, you could go to a shop and get a full bottle of red musk oil or blue lotus oil or jasmine oil or whatever it was that you're looking for, and it's only a couple of pounds, and it's very, very pure and high quality because they're making it in whatever region that she was traveling in, with Cairo, Alexandria, wherever she was at. So she mentioned this one called Red Musk, and she was like, this smells so good. I think she said it reminded her of her dad or like some man. She was like, it's so good, it's so masculine. She was like, women could wear it, but to me it does smell like more masculine, and it just smells very, very classic, like a very, very classic smell. So I was like, hold up, I got to get my hands on that. So I ordered it off Amazon. It was like $20, maybe less, like some brand based in Dubai. It's like just Red Musk. Okay. And then I was in CVS, go to get my coupons, and they gave me a coupon for this Palmer's coconut oil Brazilian cocoa cream with vitamin E. And I think this is supposed to be like a dupe of the Rio de Janeiro Bum Bum cream. And the reason why I think it's specifically supposed to be a dupe of that is because the packaging is the exact same. Like if you've ever bought the Rio de Janeiro, is that what it's called, the brand? Sol de Janeiro. If you ever bought the Sol de Janeiro cream, it comes in a tub just like this, same screw cap type technology, same pull tab that you open up, and same white product. So it's even like experientially the exact same. Like anybody could make a cocoa butter based lotion, but it's definitely a dupe because why would you package it the exact same? But I'm not hating though, because this is, I think for one tub this size of the Sol de Janeiro cream, it might be $50 or $60 you would pay for that. Like this is not locked up at CVS. The Sol de Janeiro is locked up at CVS. So this is 1/4, 1/3 of the price, and it smells wonderful. It doesn't have that Cherryosa 52 scent that is the Sol de Janeiro scent, but it just has a different fragrant tropical kind of cocoa butter. It's like tropical, but not like super tropical, like pineapple and raspberry and mango, whatever, but just like tropical, like jungle earthy smells. So you guys, this is a scent combo. I had to give you all of that backstory to tell you this is a scent combo. Okay. And I can't even believe that I'm releasing this information to the public. I honestly can't. I should keep this top secret. But I believe in contributing. In these times, we have to work as a community together to try to live as well as possible. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, because it's my commitment to, just like doing my part. And I had gone to Pilates this morning. After I'm having a coffee, chilling, making a mood board, and I see my friend, and we know each other, whatever, and he lives around like where I was having coffee at. So he just runs in, he's like, oh my God, hey Nick. I was like, hey, stand up, give him a hug. He's like, what the hell are you wearing? You smell amazing. And I was like, what? And he was like, you smell, what are you wearing? Tell me right now, like, what are you wearing? And I was like, it's like a whole mix of things. I couldn't go into that whole spiel right there at the coffee shop. There was too many ops around. But I was like, it's a mix of things. He was like, you smell so bomb. So I would say that this scent combo is perfect. If you want to give, it does have the red musk. So it does have like an Arabian vibe, or excuse me. How can I say Eastern? It has like an Eastern vibe to it. Like some colognes you smell and they smell very rugged and American. Like if it has like wood, pine, like anything like that, like it gives America. If something is a little bit more kind of caramelly and warm, like I think like vanillas, cardamoms, like those types of scents, those more European kind of smelling, like they smell a little bit more chic, more sophisticated, I would say. Then you have the more Eastern smells like musk, like oud, and they're more like kind of spicy and warm and more like hypnotic and mysterious kind of vibe. So I would say like this is more like that. It's more of like a warm, hypnotic, earthy kind of jungle vibe. Like you smell like it, you smell like the Pharaoh, like you smell like the Nile, like a river nymph on the Nile, if that makes sense. Like it's dark, but it's warm. It's not fruity, but it is fresh. And it's earthy, but more like water running through a creek earthy than like roots growing in the ground earthy. Okay. So you shower, use a non-scented soap because you don't want to do too much. Use a non-scented soap or like a barely scented soap, like a soap that's just trying to get you clean. First, you go in with this everywhere. Like I said, it's cheap. It's only $15, so you know you don't have to be too shy with it. Everywhere. Let that sit for a second. Let it soak in. Okay, boom. Then you going in with the body collagen body oil. Get that everywhere. It's a little bit more expensive. You might want to be a little bit more light-handed with this. Locking in that moisture. Boom. Let it sit. Okay, and then you come in with this. This is a roll-on. And you come in right here with it. All the pressure points right here, behind the kneecaps, on the hips, like, boom. That's all you need. You're gonna smell amazing. People are gonna be asking what cologne are you using. You won't even be able to tell them. You're like, us, you know, it's just the way that I smell. And there's something about a lot of the, so like the red musk, like that's just the top note. That's just the top. That's like the lure. That's to get the nose interested. Then once you got them hooked, they get into the jasmine. And when they're hooked, and then the serotonin starts flowing, like they start to get the little flavor with the jasmine, and then they get to that bottom note with the coconut and the acai and the macadamia. Like they get to that like Hawaiian vibe at the very bottom, but again, not pina colada Hawaiian, like green earth mother Hawaiian. No, at the bottom. And it's just like that total palate cleanser to where it's like a full drink of water. It's amazing. I can't believe I talked for almost 20 minutes about that, but this is very serious to me. This is so serious to me. Okay, we'll move on to music faves. So you guys know I love making music, and I have more to say on music later, but just some of my favorites this past week have been Arca Marine. So it's the Arca remix of Aquamarine by Addison Rae. You know, Aquamarine was already a perfect song, but the fact that they could add that Brazilian beat, the fact that they could add that and make it even better, I was in shock. I was listening, took my breath away. I was listening to it as I walked to Pilates on Friday, and it just was taking me to another world. So I loved that. And then next year I have Dummy by Portishead. So that's an album, and it's an album by this band called Portishead. They were kind of like the main people doing like trip hop in the 90s, early 2000s. Like they really pioneered that genre, or were the breakout band of that genre when that genre was first coming to prominence. And I actually went to see a Star Wars themed burlesque show, and they did a dance. One of the aliens did a dance to Road by Portishead, and it was absolutely transcendent. Like it felt like I was at like a ballet or like Cirque du Soleil or something. Like you wouldn't think that you're watching some like, I mean the burlesque show was good. It was clear that it was great dancers, but it's like when you live in LA or New York, like pretty much every show you see, even if it's like an off-Broadway or underground or anything, it's like people who dance or sing or do music or whatever, like professionally at the highest level in at least the country of the United States. And then they're just doing this because they're in between jobs, or it's like a friend of a friend, or, you know, whatever. So it's like all the dancers were already incredible, but they were dancing to songs like Starships by Nicki Minaj, or like, what else they do? Like Yeah by Usher, like kind of just fun dance songs. But this song Road is extremely poetic and deep and slow and sweltering, and they had this like green light. The stage was fully cloaked in green light, and the girls were in their little alien outfits, and they were doing this kind of like like contemporary and acro dance to the song, and it was transcendent. So I've been listening to their album a lot. So the song Road is on their album Dummy, and Dummy is their biggest album, and I think it also won Alternative Album of the year that it came out at the Grammys. So it's really, really good. I would recommend. Okay. And then I have The Great Impersonator by Halsey. So I am a Halsey fan. Oh my God. My foot keeps falling asleep. I'm a Halsey fan. I'll say that. I don't care. I love Halsey. I'm not super deep into all of her work, but the songs that I like by her, I really, really like. And there's multiple songs like on each album that she puts out that I think, oh, this is such a good song. I just think she's a really interesting artist, and I relate to her a lot. And she's been on this press tour for this album that she just released called The Great Impersonator, and she's been talking a lot about her health and about motherhood. And I realized that we're not that different in age. Like, she's 28 and I'm 24. She's the same age as my older sibling, and so, or as one of my older siblings. And so that just made me like relate to her and have such a different type of view of her, knowing how young she is, how in the forefront of, you know, music and pop that she's been for the last like 10 years. And it just made me have a lot of compassion for her. And so then when I listened to her album, and this album being her first album on Columbia, which I think Columbia and the type of artists that they work with and the way that they invest in their artists and really give their artists the opportunity to like just develop and grow, like they have a way of allowing their artists to build out their album campaigns. I think it's because they have like a smaller roster. They only have bigger artists. Like a lot of artists that are with them are on their second deal, like Halsey now, Harry Styles. I think Miley Cyrus is with Columbia now. Beyonce's obviously been with Columbia her whole career since Destiny's Child. So they pick and they choose. They don't have a huge roster, but the artists that they work with, they really, really invest with them, and somehow they're just like always able to put together a great campaign. So when I saw that she was put this new album on Columbia, I was interested. When I heard her long form interviews where she was talking about her health and motherhood, and again, just being so young, being only 28, I was like really, really interested to listen to it. And then when I finally listened to it, I was not disappointed. There are some parts of it that are a little heavy-handed, I would say maybe, or self-indulgent, but there's quite a few songs that I think are lyrically really interesting, and they are Letter to God. So Letter to God is like what would be the word for it? An interlude, but it's repeated 3 different times. So Letter to God 1970, Letter to God 1980, Letter to God 1990. And I'm not sure what the years correlate to. But in this song, she's basically talking about how she's really sick with, I think she has like lupus and maybe endometriosis. Like she's really sick with these things that are kind of chronic, and she's dealing with the pain, and she's raising her son on her own, and she can't get better, and she feels like she's gonna die. And she's talking to God, saying that like, when I was younger and how can I say this in a way that's not gonna get flagged? When I was younger and I didn't want to be around anymore, and I would pray and ask God to just make me stop being around anymore, I never would have done that if I had known that he would wait to answer my prayer until I was finally happy. Like now I'm finally happy, and I wish that I could take all of that like self-hate back, because I just needed to wait until it would get better. And I think it's such an interesting song about hope that it really stands out. And the fact that it's repeated 3 times, I think like that's kind of in vogue right now. Of obviously versioning songs is incredibly in vogue. Fast version, slow version, remix version, turned up version, original version, Arca version. Like versioning is really in. And then I think Charlie has kind of set a new standard with the remix game, and I think like even the obviously remixes were already a thing, but I think the remix game is gonna get even more intense. But you know, did Charlie might have set the standard with that, but I feel like Ellie Goulding was kind of on to something crazy with the remixes a few years ago with the Easy Lover remix with Forte. I think we'll look back and that will be like a moment where things start to shift. But anyway, put that to the side. Her doing this song 3 different times. One version is like a demo, one version is like live, and then one version is like a fully produced song. And they all have different lyrics, but like the same, again, this letter to God motif of your prayers being answered at the wrong time and how that can make you regret the past. Really, really good. The other song is Panic Attack. Is it love or a panic attack? I like that song. I think like how can I say this? There's a kind of fetishization of mental illness that can be very perverse in pop culture. And that can be like a celebrity, like I think it's Lady Gaga who's doing the ads for migraine medication. I think that's really weird. I think like the ads for BetterHelp that you see on YouTube, like they come across as cries for help in a way, or like some YouTubers, like when you see them do the BetterHelp ad, you're like, oh, either it was too much money to turn down, or you know, times are tough if they're doing this BetterHelp ad. Like it's just something about it is just so perverse. And I think that like celebrities can kind of use it as a form of marketing, like, but the reason why this song doesn't fall into, I guess that would be a trope, the fetishization of mental illness trope. I feel like that sentence doesn't really work, but you see the idea that I'm going for. I think that she actually manages to sidestep that only because her journey with mental illness is so highly publicized and is, I believe, actually incredibly sincere. And she talked in an interview, I think this was like during the Bad at Love time. I don't know if that was before. I guess that was before she started dating G-Eazy, or maybe she was promoting it while she was dating G-Eazy. Either G-Eazy or what's his name? I'm a wild boy, MGK. MGK. I don't know if it was before or after, but she did an interview where she was saying that like, as I'm getting older, I'm learning that love and the way that it's supposed to feel is not like butterflies, like things that are incredibly stimulating or arousing to the point that you lose control or you lose your ability to think straight. Like that's actually dangerous. And you should idolize or be looking for love that makes you feel like, you know, safe, love that makes you feel calm, love that can make you feel present, those types of things. And she said that, I guess that was 2016 or 2017. So this song feels like the kind of end of that arc. And she's just saying that like, after everything that she's been through, the insecurities that she has, and the things that she deals with, she is finally feeling this kind of love, and it feels so foreign that it's like making her crazy a little bit. And she's wondering, is it love or is it a panic attack? And I just thought that was a great song. And it has a nice, like, kind of 60s, like, not Joni Mitchell, but it just has this kind of 60s rock to it. Like, I feel like you could like sing it by a campfire, like with your guitar by the beach. Is it love or a panic attack? Like, yeah, it's a good song. And then there's another one called I Believe in Magic, which is really interesting because it's a song about how as a girl she tore her mother apart. And now, as a woman, she finally understands, and the guilt that she feels. There's a lot of guilt on this record, but I think the guilt comes from her being so ill and thinking like this really could be the end of my life, and having to do a lot of powerful reflection on the past and on her relationships, which is interesting because at 28, obviously you're an adult, but you're not that far from childhood. and from your teenage years and from adolescence. Like, you're not that far from it as compared to someone who's, 38 or 48 or 58, and you can still remember those things. I can still remember, I'm 24 now, and 10 years ago, like, I can still remember certain days waking up and going to like junior high, going to the first day of high school, and what I wore, and like I can still go back to those times in my mind, fights that me and my mom had, like, it's very fresh. And to see her having to bounce back so quickly with the heart and the shame of someone on their deathbed, to reflect on a time so recent, that is so pivotal and so emotionally like riveting and full. It's really, really beautiful. And also how that relates to her son. I've really been into like mother-son music. Like, Halsey singing about her son is really emotional for me. Nicki Minaj rapping about her son and her father is very emotional for me. I was even listening to Cash Doll earlier today, and she has a song called Baby Boy, and I was like, this is like gonna make me cry. I guess just obviously, like, I have a mother, and our relationship is changing over time as I get older and older, and I feel that like I get older and I understand her more, and it does make me feel more sympathetic or wanting to apologize or wanting to be more understanding of things that happened when I was a child, because now I can see, like, from an adult's perspective, like, what was happening. And I think that song, I Believe in Magic, really encapsulates that. And then the last one is Hurt Feelings. I haven't dived super deep into the lyrics on this one. I just really like the way that it sounds. I think Halsey's music, the other songs on this album that are so self-indulgent, can be very gray and can be very bleak. And sometimes that's necessary because she does dive into really serious topics, very personal topics. So the bleakness is like appropriate, but I think on Hurt Feelings, she kind of transitions from that bleak gray to a kind of bluish gray, and it has a more radiant and effervescent sound than a lot of the other songs on the record. So, so good. And we can move on from music to books. So the most recent book I read was actually this one. Can you see that? It is Nocturnes for the King of Naples by Edmund White. And I just picked up this book because I was walking through Barnes & Noble. I love to walk around Barnes & Noble and find books that way. And I just saw this book. I thought the cover was really, really beautiful. I liked the colors. I liked everything about it. Like, I just felt like this would be... Oh, and I liked that it was McNally. And I saw it was a foreword by Garth Greenwell. And I was just like, I'm going to pick this up and see what this is. And I also... read that it was an epistolary novel. And I used to be an epistolary novel hater, but that's because I wasn't a real lover back then. Now that I'm a real lover, an epistolary novel it's so good. Because just reading from that first person perspective, someone like pouring their heart out, really telling their truth, something about it, I just think it's so beautiful. And when a writer can do that from multiple perspectives, build such strong first person character for different characters, I think that's fascinating. So this book is basically the story of, and I like that it was a meta-narrative. So this is like one man writing letters to another man. They used to be together, but they're not anymore. And he's writing to him about their relationship and how he feels about it and how time has passed. And he's talking about different experiences that he has and kind of telling the story of his life through these letters that he's writing to his ex. And that is like a sub narrative or a subplot or like I can't think of the word. A metaphor for the writer's own life, where he wrote these mini letters to this man that he was in love with, that he later went on to write several books about. Like, there's a trilogy about their relationship, and this is like the prequel to that. So I just thought that this being published after those three would make it an emotionally rich text that I could really get a lot out of. And I was pretty correct. The narrative, it's like very avant-garde. So it doesn't really move in any one direction. It's not like one story told from beginning to end, but it's just like 10 different vignettes of this guy talking about his life, his relationship, and, you know, his goings-ons. And he, as a character, is batshit crazy. He crashes out so many times. He's not that interesting. You never meet the other people or hear a different voice in the story. But I would still recommend you to read this book because A, it's short, which I love a good short book. 150 pages, 200 pages, that's perfect. But it has a lot of beautiful prose, and it's more poetic than it is narrative. The way that everything is over-described to the point of, at some points, being difficult to read. But every moment and every feeling in this book is so well described and so artfully described that you can really understand what this person is going through. And the way that he writes about his like relationship with this other person is just so magnetic. Like you really feel their love coming off of the page. And there was one line that I thought was really interesting where he says basically disapproval is a form of intimacy. And I think that was an idea that really stuck with me because it's like normally we think of love or intimacy as acceptance, which I think is like we have a strong case to believe that love and intimacy are forms of acceptance. But can you have negative forms of acceptance like disapproval? Because disapproval is not rejection, and disapproval is also not hate. And for someone to like disapprove of you, they have to still accept you. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but I just thought that was an interesting way to describe a certain part of their relationship, particularly the negative part of it, because in a long-term loving relationship, you know, it's not like you're like a yes man and it's just all happiness all the time. There are some times where you disagree or where you fight or things don't go the way that either person thinks that they should, and you might disapprove of someone's actions, you can disapprove of someone's feelings, you can disapprove of like certain circumstances, but like disapproval and being unhappy with something is not the same as rejecting it or decrying it or making it feel worse. And I thought that was an interesting idea to surface in this novel and would be something very interesting to be explored later. And I have this little piece of paper that I just wrote like different things that stood out to me from this book. One of them, so that was one, and then the other one was, what is this? I'm on your trail, but you elude me. That was one line in the book. Pretty simple, but I thought, again, quite romantic and hypnotic. I'm on your trail, but you elude me. Ooh, so good. Okay. And the other one was, when you really love someone, you can't help but to see the child in them. So one of the men is much older than the other man, and they have a lot of discussions about age and the different people that are in their lives. And at one point he says, like, I saw him as a child, and like I had compassion for him. And it actually reminded me of this movie that I saw last night called Red One, which is not a romantic or very poetic movie at all. But one of the major themes in it is the way that getting older can make you cynical and can kind of corrupt your more childlike, pure, loving, imaginative view of the world. And the main character's journey, or one of the main character's journey, is being able to see the child in other people. Again, specifically Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the greatest actor working, I mean, other than Channing Tatum, of course. That's his journey. Like, he's an elf and he wants to quit because he's like, I'm too cynical now. Like, I shouldn't, he's like, kind of like self-sacrificing. Like, he's like, I'm so cynical, like I can't contribute to the mission of Christmas anymore because there's no way that I can do a good job that you need me to do, Santa, if I'm feeling this bad. And Santa's like, we just got to find a way to make you get back to that vision of loving Christmas because you love children, and you love children because you see how when they're able to have their pure, creative, imaginative view of the world, it makes the entire world a better place. And that's why we got to deliver all these toys. It was kind of a beautiful movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm thinking about it now, and it's kind of insane. Like, It's like MAGA coded. Santa's in the military. Like they got Nordic. It's like Nordic folklore. Like it's a lot of different things that are all crazy. And then Chris Evans is doing this. I don't know if it's a fake Boston accent because I think he's from Boston. So maybe it's just his real voice and I've just never heard it. But he's doing this Boston accent. Like the family. So it's a lot. And I gave it, I think, like 2.5, maybe 3 stars on Letterboxd. But maybe I need to go back and up it because it had a lot of different pieces and it was moving in a weird way, but it was really interesting. Had a lot of cool ideas. So yeah, shout out to Red One, shout out to Kings of Nocturne, shout out to Halsey. That's my art section. Next, the weather. It's like we're making small talk. The weather, so obviously the time has changed and it gets dark so early. Like it by 5 p.m. it's dark. Like the sun is already past its highest point in the sky and it's not even like maybe 2 o'clock yet, and you can already see it starting to go down. The darkness is killing me. I hate it. I feel so tired. I feel like I don't have enough time in the day to do what I need to get done. I feel like I was so, just like spoiled by the California summer, and you could just be on the beach watching the sunset till 9 o'clock, like just soaking it in and basking in it. And the fact that the beautiful sunlight and the daylight is being so scarce is really, really upsetting. I'm trying to be open to it and lean into it and be more in my fall vibe, just like staying at home and, locking in and, being Amish and all that stuff. And earlier in the fall, that felt really, really good. But then I started going out a little bit more like towards the end of October, and I kind of got that it got that angst back in me of like, I want to go out, I want to dance, I want to go to concerts, like I want to be out late with my friends, I want to, be outside. But it's so dark, and it's not, it's not the environment that I want to go be in is like in July. It's in July, it's 95 degrees, it's Catalina Island, like we in the sand having fun. That's the vibe that I want, but I can't have it because it's so dark and it's so cold. And that kind of leads me to my next thing, which is Pilates. So I crossed 250 a few weeks ago. I'm at 265 classes now this year. And honestly, there was a point where I was really, really tapping back in, and now I kind of feel myself really, really tapping back out. And I think that's just because it's so cold. Every time that I'm going to class now, it's in the dark. I don't feel like my body feels more tense because of the cold and the dark. Like my body feels more tense, and so it's harder to stretch out. It feels harder to get like a good deep breath. It feels harder to really like sink into the moment with my breathing and with my movement. And I don't know what that blockage is. I'm like, maybe I just need to get more rest. I need to stretch more. I need to eat more. Like I need to change my mindset. Like I don't know what that thing is that I need to do, but I feel way less comfortable in my Pilates practice right now than I did 6 weeks ago. And I think they're all related. And one thing that might also be related to it that is on my list is longing for new places, but also wanting comfort. So the past couple of months, I haven't really wanted to go anywhere. Like I was supposed to go to Tokyo. I didn't end up going. I just spent like a week just like chilling in LA, doing all the things that I love to do. And I was like, this is really like paradise for me. Like I can make music, I can take a workout class, I can go to the beach, I can eat really, really good food, I can hang out with my friends, I can go to movies, I can go to outdoor concert. Like where could I be going that would be better than this? Like I have everything here, and I really have this like very Eden-esque view of LA. I still have it, but maybe because the weather is changing, I don't know, like I feel that longing again to like get out in the world and get back in the mix. And I kind of felt that when I went to New York, like I kind of felt like that. I had that more feeling of like, okay, I'm getting back into life in a more active and like exciting way. And I think like LA is so slow and it feels kind of isolated. I know it's, LAX, you can go anywhere in the world, but it has this, I've talked about this before, of feeling like I'm on another planet. And I'm like, okay, maybe I want to go back to Earth. And I don't want to get on a plane. I don't want to get on a plane. I don't want to go to an airport. I don't really long to experience traveling, but I am having that feeling of just wanting to get a breath of fresh air. But I'm so scared that I'm gonna, go through what I have to go through to go get a breath of fresh air, and I'll get there and I'll just be wanting to go home again. So I don't know. But if I could go somewhere, places I would go, Cairo. Cairo has been on my list for a while, like at least since 2022, but it's just a little difficult to get there from the States. It's expensive, flight delays, it's not always the most convenient thing. So I wanted to go in 2023 when I was kind of going around the Mediterranean, but it just worked better to go to Turkey instead. So I went to Turkey, but I really want to go to Cairo. I really want to go to Berlin. I've talked about this before. I want to go to Berlin. I think I'm going to go to Hole next year, the festival. If you know about Hole, let me know. But I really want to go to that. Every year I say I'm going to go and I don't go. And I'm like, this year it's my time to go to Berlin. And when I go to Berlin, I want to go to Copenhagen because I have a friend who lives in Copenhagen. I keep saying, oh, I'm going to visit you. And I never fucking do. So Cairo, Berlin, Copenhagen, Paris. I want to go back to Paris and I want to go back to Rio. I want to go back to Rio so bad. Brasil, come to Brasil, eu falo português. Like, I want to go back to Rio and I want to go to Jamaica. I thought I was going to go to Jamaica next year. It looks like I'm not going to go in 2025. At least not planned. My family were going to go somewhere else, but I really want to go to Jamaica because I've never been. All right, and the last thing on my list, because this video is getting pretty long, I just have music, optimism, focus, confidence. So, as you guys know, I am a musician. Follow me on Bandcamp. I'm really trying to promote my Bandcamp. Follow me on Bandcamp, okay? Do that. It's in the link in bio. But I've been writing a lot of music lately. And I've also been mixing and working on my next EP that's gonna come out. And I think that the type of work that I'm doing is the best production work that I've ever done, like in my whole life. And California has really helped me to become a better producer because I think everything here is just so romantic and bright and fuzzy. Like, I can't simply communicate it through lyrics because it would be too overwrought. Like, every song, the color is so beautiful, the sky, electric energy. Wait, the color is so beautiful, the sky, the colors, and electric energy. But like, it would be too much. It would go beyond poetry and just be like a running list. It's like Deuteronomy, like just a list. So you have to get into the beat and you have to communicate through orchestration and instrumentation, background vocals. Like, you have to communicate the beauty that way. And it's really made me expand my production practice, using new synths, different types of drums, mixing my own work, EQing, like all of that stuff. So I've been making a lot of music, and I had this thought this morning where last night I was trying to post some music on Instagram, or like I wanted to post a picture and put my song on it, and I just kind of didn't know what was the right decision. So I was like, let me sleep on this and I'll post it in the morning. And I just woke up and I had this thought of, when I'm making music, whether I'm writing a song or whether I'm making a beat, it's the only time where I feel like I'm doing everything right. You know, you have times, maybe you're at work or you're with your partner or you're doing anything, and you just think like, am I doing the right thing with my life? Right at this moment, with however much longer I have left on earth, whether it's 50 years or whether it's 100, like, or whether it's 10, like, am I doing the right thing with my life in this moment? Am I making the right decision? And for me, when I'm making music, the answer always feels 100% yes. When that inspiration and creativity are happening simultaneously, it feels like, yes, that this is the right thing. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This feels perfect. This feels meta. This feels next level to be doing this craft. And I imagine it must be what, not even just professional athletes, but it just must be what, like, when people love playing a certain sport, whether it's basketball, golf, or like even like dance, like, you know, people that they dance when they're in high school or college or whatever, and then they never stop. They're like, this is the passion of my life. Even if they're doing something else now, they still are going to ballet every Saturday morning. It's because, like, you're able to have this moment where all of the normal social, religious, political, like all of the normal stimuli that would create, you know, conflicting thoughts of, is this right? Is this wrong? Like it drops away. Like there is no moral framework or philosophical boundaries to think about or to understand. Like this question of right and wrong goes away. Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right place? Am I with the right people? You forget all of that because the answer is yes. And I think that knowing that, or knowing what that is, makes me feel optimistic about the future, because I know that like in my life, as long as I keep returning to this thing that I understand and truly feel that even in fits and starts can totally occupy my mind and satisfy my deepest desires, like I have access to that. I'm able to do that. As long as I have that, like there is something to look forward to in the future, because you have to disconnect. Like you can't live in that state of total optimism and euphoria. Like it would be impractical and it would genuinely be impossible, because rational thinking requires you to consider all outcomes, to consider all inputs. Like it can't just be all positive all the time. But in that moment, like in the artistic moment, in the creative moment, you're able to feel that. And so you can always feel optimistic towards that, hopeful towards that, seek that, push that further. And when you have a question in life, you can just think about like, does it help me do this thing? Does it get me closer to this thing? Does it inspire this thing? Does it make this thing impossible, or does it make this thing more possible? And all the relationships to that euphoric moment, I think, can really help you to build a great life. And the way to do that, so like for me, making music creates that optimism. And so connected to that is this idea of focus, of having to focus despite other stimulus in the environment on that thing that makes you happy, or that thing that fulfills you, and constantly putting that at the center of how you make the framework about this, how you make the framework about that. Whether it's as simple as like, I love to sing. Singing is so important to me. Singing is amazing. So like, I can't scream. I can't yell. Like when I think about screaming or yelling, I gotta really think, do I really, really, really want to do this? Because it's gonna make singing harder in the short term or in the long term. Okay, I gotta calm down. Or like, I love to like play piano and play instruments. So I think about my hands a lot. Like, oh, is that gonna be risky for my hands? Is that gonna be risky for my wrist? Like maybe I shouldn't do that, or excuse me, anything like that. Like having the focus to bring the clarity around what matters, and then actually thinking about what matters as you make each consequential decision. They all work together. And I think when they're all working together, that's what creates confidence. That is what creates confidence. That also is what creates a high sense of self-esteem, self-trust, and like self-image. When you feel that your knowledge of what matters aligns with the decisions you make and the actions you take, and that what matters is that thing that brings to you that total sense of satisfaction and happiness and peace, and not something else like money or status, or even approval by friends, family, community, whatever, right? Like, is that thing that really matters what really makes you feel optimistic, and are you really focused on achieving it or taking care of it or stewarding it or whatever it is? So, okay, that's the end of my talk. Thank you for coming to my talk. One bonus item is that this book actually did inspire me to write a song called Cry Wolf. And it's a really, really good song. I don't think that I'll put it in this video because I want to do more production work on it, but I think it is really, really great. And I'm going to link my Bandcamp in my bio. Please go to my Bandcamp, follow my Bandcamp, buy my albums. And I'm also going to link my Instagram and my Tumblr. I have a black and white blog called Tornado Auction. You can follow me there. Okay, ciao, bye.